You're listening to SM Media, the #1 place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media Euro 2020 show. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. Joined as always by Shankers. Shankers, how are we?
Hi, I'm good, Scott. Just off the back of an end-to-end thrilling game there, so it's been a good start to the last 16 so far.
Definitely, it's been a busy couple of games, but a busy couple of days as we're halfway through the round of 16. Stevie Murray's with us as well. Stevie, thanks very much for coming on.
No worries.
Brilliant. Well, looking forward to getting through these 4 games. We'll start off with the game yesterday, where Denmark put in a really impressive performance to beat Wales 4-0. Dolberg with 2, Myla and Braithwaite the goals. Harry Wilson was sent off for Wales. Stevie, how impressed were you with Denmark?
I was very impressed by them. You can see that obviously everything that's happened to them just kind of galvanised the full squad and pushed them on a wee bit further, you know. It's just like if there's another force guiding them, so to speak, through the game. But I thought Wales were poor as well, to be fair. As good as Denmark were, Wales were quite poor. But the sending off's a show. That's never a sending off on a Monday Sundays.
No way. Nah. See, you mentioned there about Wales being poor. Do you think Wales started quite bright and then the goal just completely changed it?
I suppose, but then in a game of that magnitude, if you don't get the first goal's so, but even international football, it seems to be more important than international, because very rarely do you see a team score first and then they overturn the deficit. If you see the stats, it's maybe happens a lot more infrequently than it does in club football, because international football seems to be a lot of possession-based attacking and running down clocks and patience and everything else. But I think you need to, when you're on top like that, you probably need to score, or at least stop Denmark scoring, as you say. Took the fizz out my wee bit, but you're right. It probably just did knock the stuffing out of them, didn't it?
Aye, I would say the goal just completely changed Wales' perspective. Then when it went 2-0, I just think Wales knew they were beat. And you see with the red card, I don't think it is a red card, but it's a frustration kind of thing for Harry Wilson, isn't it? Just to kind of stop it as much as possible. Shankers, Denmark now are through to the quarter-finals. They've got an easier game than they probably thought they would have. I know we're probably dismissing Czech Republic, but are Denmark good enough to potentially cause a real upset in this tournament?
I don't see why not. They're in a favourable side of the draw. So, and I think if you ask them before the game who would they rather face, the Czechs or the Dutch, and they would probably pick Czech Republic. But when you see their game, which we'll come on to, they were very impressive as well. But they've got players they've not got, see, like Wales have got Ramsey and Bale, 2 kind of world-class players. Denmark are just kind of a togetherness, especially after what they've been through in this tournament already. I think if they just knew that their player was going to be safe and well after it, that they would have took that and went out of the groups. But they've progressed, and obviously it was very impressive yesterday. They worked really, really well as a team. They play in a kind of 3-4-3, and everybody knows their job, and they're hard to break down, and they're very good when they go forward. The boy Dolberg, first goal was a great finish, and then they kind of, as you said, once they get the second one, Wales kind of were dead on their feet after that, and they were getting picked off in the counter attack a lot.
You mentioned Kasper Dolberg there. Is any of the two of you know how tough a year Kasper Dolberg's had?
I've seen a list of stuff earlier. It was
right.
Quite,
in the past year, Kasper Dolberg has tested positive for COVID, had an emergency appendix surgery after it burst, suffered 3 injuries, and had an £80,000 watch stolen by a Nice teammate.
I think that was the worst one at the end.
Stevie, have you ever had anything near enough 80,000 stolen by a teammate?
80,000? I don't even think I've had any 8,000, so I can move on for that. It was Kilmarnock, I played, to remember, right? So, and I came through the youth system, so I get the loose change that was found down the back of the chairman's sofa. That was my way.
We'll touch on another player as well who's really kind of caught my eye is Joachim Myler that plays with Atalanta. Obviously scored the second of the tournament. Stevie, this boy looks pretty good, doesn't he?
Aye, it does look good. And you always find we get people that just come to the fore in the tournaments that nobody ever knew about, and before you know it, there's a bidding war on him. He's going to end up at a big club with a bit of luck to him. But he's looked very, very sharp, and he's been impressive, very impressive.
Yeah, definitely. From a Wales perspective, there's a couple of wee takeaways. Shankers, how do you rate Wales' performance in the whole tournament?
I think the squad Wales have got last 16 quarters at a push is probably kind of exceeding the limits, to be honest. I don't think they've got a great squad. I think they've got a few good individual players, but when you put it together, is it any better than the Scotland's apart from obviously, and when they've got Bale in attacking positions, they can win a game at a drop of a hat. That's the only difference for them. But I think last 16 quarterfinals is probably where they kind of aiming for as a squad. I think their group, I mean, they probably thought they wouldn't even get out the group to start with the teams that were in it. So I think them getting to the last 16 and then almost a kind of a playoff game to get to the quarters. I know they reached the semi-final last time, but to be honest, it's not really going to happen again. It's what I kind of want off one of these things. So I think they probably got to a kind of realistic stage of the tournament for their squad.
Gareth Bale is the man, you know, the headlines are about after the game. Have you seen his interview?
Aye. Well,
aye.
What was of it?
Aye, exactly.
Right, I'm going to throw this out to you. I'll ask you both about it. Is that the last time we see Gareth Bale on a football pitch, Stevie?
I think he's got it in him for that to be the case. I really do. I mean, at the end of the day, if he gets a sixth, well, he's last year of the contract at Madrid, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So, and he gets 2.4 million a month. Right? Mm-hmm. So if they're going to offer him round about 13 to 14 million to leave 50% of your contract, what else is he? Where's the motivation for him to play? Honestly, where is the motivation? I know you. Wait, what is he now? 30? Is he 32 yet? Is he 31?
I think he's 31, maybe.
Right. I don't know. I think he's got it in his locker to chuck it, because I know he was at Spurs last year, but I didn't see enough of him at Spurs to see somebody that's wanting to prove everybody wrong, and I was mistreated at Madrid, and I need to be playing football and that. Like, for me, that the reason he wasn't playing with Madrid showed in a lot of his Spurs performances. I know he scored a few goals. Maybe, I don't know if he got to double figures. I think maybe got 9 goals or something. But again, that was against your Burnleys and your Sheffield Uniteds and your, you know what I mean? I think at the top level, he's possibly done. I could be made to eat my words, but I think at the top level he's done. So it's up to him whether he wants to drop down a kind of level or two in terms of it, maybe Europa League side or a top 10 side in England, rather than just retire. But I know if I was on that money, I wouldn't be getting anywhere near a football club. I'll tell you that right now.
Shankers, can I present a scenario to you, and you can say if I'm daft or no? Me? Gareth Bale still plays for Wales, but plays golf during the week.
Right. I see when you were going to come on to me, I was going to say, I think he would be quite happy to keep himself ticking over and still play for Wales, but not actually play club football. I know it probably would never ever happen, but it seems that kind of player. I agree with Stevie. Where is the motivation? It doesn't seem like there's players who love football out there, and you can see it in their performances, and like De Bruyne and all that. And even when they win, I've seen them coming off the pitch and they're arguing because this wasn't done and this wasn't done, and I just don't get that. I just don't get that feeling when you're watching them and stuff like that. It looks as if he wants to do well and do everything for his country, but as when I was seeing him a few times for Spurs, you've seen glimpses, but see if Spurs are drawn 0-0 or something, and he's 20 minutes to go, I'm wanting him to drag my team through and get a 1-0 victory. I just don't see that for him, and it is tough if he gets money like that. Like, I know he'll obviously not be struggling the new as it is, but if he gets that further in top and at his age, is he going to go and Spurs maybe take him again? But if they don't, is he going to go? I don't see the motivation to go down a level, and not down a level as in, but down a kind of a grade of teams, the Europa League. I don't see him like that, because it doesn't seem, for the love of football anyway, that obviously he'll like it because he plays it, but it doesn't. Just different. People love football, like Ronaldo. He'll try and play to whenever he can. I just don't see that with Gareth Bale. It's a strange one. I don't really get the situation. And his interview, I think, is a bit childish as well. To be honest, he's the captain of his country. They've just been put out, which, fair enough, you're not going to be happy about. But if you're getting paid that salary and you're the captain of your country, be big enough to answer a question that a journalist has asked. Maybe
even just say like, I'm not answering it now.
Just give an answer. Don't be like that. I mean,
doing a Piers Morgan, as we say.
What's the point? There's plenty of people walked to interviews and stuff. I just thought it was a wee bit petty if somebody has stature today, something like that. It's just been knocked out, fair enough, but at least have the decency to answer the question rather than just walk out. I think that's a wee bit unprofessional, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on to the other game that took place on Saturday at Wembley. Italy left it late, very late, and they got their 2-1 win over Austria, who battled hard to try and keep the Italians out. But Italy move on to play Belgium in the quarter-finals. Chiesa and Pessina get the 2 goals for Italy, while Kalajdzic got a late consolation for Austria. Stevie, the Italians did it the hard way, but it turned out to be a very, very good performance in the extra time to seal the result.
It's interesting because obviously after the group stages, everybody's raving about Italy and a lot of people's favourites, and then after this game, people are going, there's no danger they're winning that, and change people's perspective into it. But it's probably a typical Italy, like that kind of. That's the way I thought Italy would be in this tournament in terms of like scraping wins and getting through. I didn't think they would be as expansive as they have been in the group stages anyway. But that was along the lines more of the old style Italy. But ultimately getting the win, which is the most important thing in the knockout stages. Doesn't matter how you get through, just get through.
Definitely. Shankers, what was your thoughts on Italy? It was some goal by Chiesa to get the ball rolling, then Pessina finished it off.
It was, and I think the longer it goes, when it goes into these stages of the games, I think it favours the stronger team like Italy, especially with substitutions, and just as Stevie says, Italians are normally good at getting a 1-0 and holding it out and stuff like that. That's not the Italy we've seen this tournament so far, but I think last night was a test, and I think if they come against a stronger team, Austria would probably got a wee bit hard done, but obviously in the end up Italy deserved it. But I mean, the goal chopped off and stuff like that. I think if Italy come up against a better side on that day, they're out the competition. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure who they'll come up against in the quarterfinals when the other games are played. But it'll be interesting to see when they come up against a so-called bigger nation, to see whether they start that count like free-flowing football, or whether they kind of sit in and try and get them in a counter. They're kind of capable of both. I just think if they open up against a bigger side with more quality players, I think they could get some trouble against them.
Yeah, it's Italy, Belgium next, and that is going to be probably an intriguing clash. It's probably 2 teams that are very attacking. But Stevie, I will mention Austria briefly as well. The group stage, you didn't really see that performance in them, but they made that Italy work, didn't they?
They really did. I mean, I think that's probably going into the game. That might have been the game plan, was to frustrate Italy, because they have been, as I say, quite expansive in the group stages, and just dig in and then try and get the game to a certain time, and then try and nick a goal. Never nearly worked for them. They went 2 down, but I mean, they certainly took them a long way, longer than Italy would have been more comfortable with anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move into today, where we saw two other games, and we saw a massive surprise coming up. Holland 0, Czech Republic 2. Holes and Sheik with the 2 goals. Sheik's continuing his impressive run of form at this European Championships. Shankers, do we think the red card for Holland changed this game?
Aye, completely.
No complaints, straight red.
It probably is with the letter of the law. I think it's a wee bit it is a red card, but it's just see the boy stumbling in that, and then he knows what he's doing. He's kind of scooped it back to stop the boy. You can think he's stopped, but he's fallen. He's going to nick in, and he's going through 1-1. So the letter of the law, it probably is a red card, and he probably has cost his team. I know it's probably harsh saying it, but the red card changed the game completely, and I think Frank de Boer was a bit more. I don't know if his pride got over him a wee bit, trying to stay with the three at the back and stuff like that, rather than manage the game the way I'm not saying the way it should be. I'm in no position to tell him how to be managing his team, but his pride with sticking with the three at the back, and I just think that cost them a wee bit. They were getting, obviously, when there's less men in the middle, they get picked off in the middle, and then they get countered on, and it's not even when Czechs went up 1-0. I thought even at 0-0, but when Holland had 10 men, we're still going to get beat. I just didn't see anything really fair them, and when it was 11v11, I thought they were comfortable in the game.
Malin
really
misses a golden chance, doesn't he?
That just shows you how fit we can change it. 26 seconds, I think it was. I seen he misses that chance. They got the park. There's a red card, and the game changes. They could have been up 1-0 and they went for a red card, and the game completely changes on its head. And it just shows you Czechs are no mugs. But let's be honest, it was still 0-0 at a full red card, so they were still heavily in the game. But it changed it massively, and now they're playing against Denmark, and both sides will fancy each other to get through. They'll probably be glad that they've got a draw at each other, and that's a tight one to call. I'm not sure who'll win that one.
It's going to be a good one to watch. Stevie, who was your takeaways for Holland Czech Republic?
Much the same as Shankers. I think if Holland take the lead in that game, I don't think you see anything for the Czech Republic. I think you just see the game out of scoring our 2 or 3 goals. But to me, it's a stonewall red card. If I'm that striker, and I'm literally 3 yards away from the 18-yard box, I'm going in to have a shot on goal. And if you're stopping that, and it's not as if he fell on top of the ball, his hands came round the side of the ball and pulled it back. So it's to me that's a stonewall red card. But I thought later, obviously after that, Czechs get into the game. They just played to their strengths in a lot of aerial tussles. I mean, the first goal comes for header at the back post, and then a header back across goal. And the second goal, the boy Schick's finish for the second goal is a fantastic finish. He's one for the watch. I know he's done very well. Obviously the goal against Scotland, but his header against Scotland was unreal as well.
Definitely.
I thought that Denzel Dumfries was brilliant for Holland.
Do you know another player who actually has been really good for Holland, and he's probably under the radar? Frankie de Jong, I think, has just been so controlling on midfield. I know Wijnaldum's getting all the credit, but Dumfries was. I think he's always trying to make something happen, isn't he, Dumfries?
I think it helps when they're playing the three at the back and he's getting the wing back role, so he's kind of starting further forward when he's getting on the ball. I thought he was brilliant up until even when they went down 1-0, he was still one of the ones that looked as if he could create something in that right hand side. See for the first goal, I think it was the corner come in to the back stick, and the boys knocked it across. The goalie's come away out. He looked as if he's never getting it, but he's come away out and followed the ball, and then it's a knock across and in the net. I thought he was a wee bit kind of dodgy.
Stevie, Frank de Boer's coming under a bit of pressure. Do you think it's justified, or is it just frustration that I
think it's reactive to the result, to the actual result. I think once the dust settles, then they'll maybe go again, because they were looking strong enough to go on and do something in the tournament. I just think because they've obviously seen the draw they've got in the last 16 and went, that's a gimme. You know what I mean?
I know.
Because they've went out, then people they're fuming about it, and because they didn't expect it. But as I say, I think once the dust settles, they'll maybe look at it in the cold light of day and say, right, okay, well, we went through the group with quite a lot of ease. We've got young players coming through that are doing well, and they play a no bad brand of football as well. So who are they going to bring in? Do you know what I mean? Who would they bring in? Wim Jansen?
Dick Advocaat for his 9th run. But it's opened this draw. This side of the draw did look not as competitive as the other side of the draw. I think we'll all agree on that. But it's opened this side wide open, Shankers, the way What's your kind of thinking now towards this side of the draw?
I mean, I think England and Germany will be sitting saying if whoever wins this game, we've got a right good chance to get to the final. But as we say, Holland were obviously thinking that before, and look what happens. You can't get too complacent. But Czechs and Denmark, they've got. They've obviously got something to lose now that they're playing against each other and they'll fancy themselves to beat each other. But if they get through that into the semi-final, if everyone gets through, they'll be thinking. I mean, it's almost not a free hit, but they've done so good to get there that the pressure's on. They're not expected to go on to get to semis and finals of tournaments like this. So it's interesting. I always like a wee underdog story getting there. I really want to see a France, Germany, one of the two of the big nations in the final. But it's good to see teams like lesser nations like the Czechs and Denmark, especially with this tournament, with the circumstances surrounding it. So it'll be good to see, and who knows who'll be in the other side of the tie once we see what the other results are.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just start recording after Belgium beat Portugal 1-0. Thorgan Hazard with a thunderstrike that set Belgium up for a tie against Italy. Shankers, Belgium won it tough, as you said. It was a proper end-to-end game, but Belgium got the job done.
I think the goalie for that goal was question marks.
Do you think if it stays in the middle of the net, he saves it?
I think it's in the middle of the net.
Aye.
It's no, obviously it's got, when you see the camera angles, it's got a bit of left to right movement on it, but it's no like right in the tight to the post or right in the top corner. And I'm wanting my goalie to do better there, to be honest. I know it's through bodies and stuff like that, but a top goalie like Rui Patricio, he's a top goalie linked to go to Rome and stuff like that. For me, I'm wanting my goalie to save that. If we can see the goal on a Saturday, I'm probably not happy at our goalie for conceding it. So, but other than that, later on, Portugal were probably threatening, but probably not enough quality. I mean, Ronaldo probably the best header of a ball in the world, and nothing come in the box late on. It's all out to a crossing position, then it's right. We kind of got a cross in, turn, play it all the way back out the other side. I think see at that stage, especially knockout football, you need to be. It's different if it's a league game or whatever, and you still get 10 odd games left to make up for it. But knockout football, I'm like be chucking crosses in the box, especially with Ronaldo, what a threat he is in the box, and even the ones that did come in the box, Fernandez and that wee floaty ones and stuff like that, just nothing's direct. I'm wanting to be a bit more direct when my team's doing 1-0 in a cup competition with 5-10 to go, and you can see Ronaldo's frustration. Fernandez and João Felix shooting for 30 yards out and stuff like that. I just think that later on they had a lot of the ball and they were threatening, but it was for areas of the park that Belgium are probably happy with them to have shots and crosses for that they feel like they could deal with. Ruben Diaz's header's probably the kind of closest one and the one off the post, but other than that, we can't really complain about the result.
Have you been disappointed with Bruno Fernandes in this tournament, considering how successful a season he's had at Man United? And he's probably been, apart from maybe Diaz, as you mentioned, he was probably the best player in the Premier League last season.
I think you've got to be. I think somebody like him, and obviously it's a wee bit in the shadows of Ronaldo in the team, and they're always going to be like that when you get somebody in the national team. But I think he has to be doing better, especially off the season that he had at club level. He's goals, assists, he's got great quality, and he played his way out the team almost for games like this. I mean, last 16, of the European Championships, Bruno Fernandes shouldn't have been on the sideline, and the manager also know had an option to put him there because of performances in the first two games. So he's only got himself to blame, but I do want to see more for him, but I probably want to see more for a few of the Portugal players. Jota probably as well. Felix, I mean, he just won the league in Spain. He should be more involved. Bernardo Silva. You know, I don't think I've seen him kick a ball with his right foot in that whole tournament. He's got some left foot on him, but he's very predictable at times, just coming inside, and if he can't come inside, then he'll just swivel around a bit and play it the right back. But I think when you've got Ronaldo on your team, all the players it's hard to keep up to their levels.
Aye, definitely. Stevie, what was your takeaways in the game?
I thought it was probably the right result in the end. Like Shankers was saying, there wasn't many clear-cut chances for Portugal. You could see how frustrated Ronaldo gets when the ball doesn't come into the box. You can see it's all the hand gestures and all the turning away and looking at the sky and all that. And that, to be fair, that must be frustrating for the other players that play with him as well, because they're just getting the pressure of get the ball to him. And you can see it when Shankers was saying when they were taking shots for 30 yards and that, and it's as if in his head he's going, "You're no good enough for that. What you playing?" The guy who can score the goals. But I think they've missed. I think their fullbacks are poor. Dallo I thought he was shocking. They've missed João Cancelo for Man City.
They've got Cancelo and that Semedo. I don't know what was. I think he got injured in the last game.
He's a stinker against Germany.
They almost had their third choice right back.
But they're not shouting to get Semedo. Somebody was like, "Get him off." Was it not Pepe? Semedo was like a joker, and Pepe's going, "Get him off." He's having an absolute no, I just think it was the right result in the end, and Belgium's quality obviously came to the fore. But I feel like watching Belgium, it feels like to me like they've still got another year to go. I don't know if they've done themselves a wee bit, but I'm just waiting for them to absolutely scud a team. But Lukaku was brilliant. Some of his touches are outstanding. He's getting balls up to his neck and he's controlling them and just taking them 40 yards up the pitch and taking the pressure right off them. He's been brilliant this tournament.
There was one late on where he's carried the ball 40, 50 yards up the park, and they ended up breaking it down, but she's just gaining that territory for where they were in their half, carrying it up the park. I thought Belgium, I thought they didn't really get tested defensively. I thought the defence was there to be got at, but I thought they were defensively, they were really good tonight. Pepe's still a dirty man as well.
Sure,
Stevie, obviously Belgium, they're through the quarterfinals, but De Bruyne and Hazard went off injured. We don't know if it's serious or not, but how big a miss, or particularly De Bruyne, because I think De Bruyne has been outstanding. Hazard, we know, has got a bit to find on, obviously, what we've seen two years ago, but how big misses are they going to be if they're not available for the quarterfinal against Italy?
I mean, it's massive. It is massive for them. I mean, I think Belgium's maybe they've got a no bad squad. They've got decent players to come in. I like the boy Carrasco they brought on. Mertens he's been doing brilliant for Napa the last few years, but he's 34 now, so I don't know how much he's still got in the tank, but still a good player. So it's not like they're bringing in any mugs for them, but at the same time, it's the Kevin De Bruyne you're talking about here. It's one of the top creative players in the world, so I think it'd be a massive miss. But I think De Bruyne will be all right. I'm not sure about Hazard. I think De Bruyne has looked more like just a knock than look, he'd maybe strap his foot up or whatever. But I'm not sure about Hazard's.
I think it's going to be interesting. I think Hazard needs a big boost of confidence. You can tell he's been dented after that move to Real Madrid. I think he's found it impossible to stay fit.
See Italy. If I didn't know that's where they were getting the next round, but see psychologically the lift you would get if you know they're not playing, but also if you see them going off and then you see them available, you're like, they are available. I think mentally, never mind them playing an actual game, but I think mentally, knowing if they're not playing, it will give you a lift, but also if you see they are fit, you're like, we could be in ball today. So that's a good game, that one.
Shankers, do you know, I think they'll be saying to themselves, if they are playing, it's Italy we're talking about, right? Italy will go, whatever you do, first 10, 15 minutes, absolutely nail they two. On the two bits they're injured, get through it. It's Italy talking about, you know what I mean? They're going to smash life at them, aren't they?
Aye, they are. That's clever, isn't it? Yeah, that's what you would do. They're the best players.
Aye.
Definitely. Friday, though, we'll see Belgium play Italy. We'll move into the two games tomorrow with two other round of 16 games. The world champions, France, play Switzerland. Shankers, we know what France can do, and you've tapped them to go. You've tapped them to go really far in this tournament. What do you think? Do you think they need to put in a big performance here? Obviously, they've had 1-1 and 2 draws, but it's been some of the stuff they've played has been magnificent, but do you feel as if they need a big performance to kind of get back to how good they are?
I think they've not really done anything where you've went, wow.
Aye.
I mean, you know what I mean, compared to what they were like at the World Cup. Still our favourites in my mind, and I thought they would win it for the start. But they've got through top of the group. They've got a favourable draw in Switzerland. I mean, if they get through it, not at their best, well, and they still get more to come getting into the quarterfinals, it says a lot about them, to be honest. I think they should win them more comfortably. I know it's not a given in these kind of tournaments, especially what we've seen so far. So it's not a gimme by all means, but you're fancying France to beat Switzerland with two or three goals, and especially on paper when you see it, it's not always going to work that way. But I think if they get through that, no playing at their best, well, what they're going to be like when they are at their best. And I think maybe playing a better team, you've seen them against Portugal with 2-2. I think you've seen playing against a better team and a better quality player, then you've seen them kind of lifting their game a wee bit. And still think Mbappe and Griezmann's work rate and stuff like that has been exceptional, but I think there's still a wee bit more for him to come as well. Pogba's been brilliant, Kante as well. So I still think there is a wee bit more for France to come, and I think if they raise their game a bit, they're going to be hard to beat.
Definitely. Stevie, how do you see France and Switzerland going?
Same as Shankers. I think France will win the game. It just depends what side of them turns up. I think looking at it, the type of player Mbappe is, he'll maybe look and think, right, we're getting into the knockout rounds. There's going to be a lot of people watching. It's Switzerland. He could pretty much tear Switzerland apart himself. I've got a funny feeling he's going to turn it on again in this game and just get everybody talking about him again, because we're waiting on him. We're waiting on him today, sort of in the tournament, aren't we? Everybody, you watch him. There's wee glimpses here and there, but the wee goal he got chopped off against. I think it was Germany, wasn't it? Was it Germany?
Yeah.
Aye, it was a great finish.
Unreal, wee glimpses. So I think he's going to run riot against Switzerland. I really do. I don't see them having the defensive power to stop him. So I'm going to 2-3-0 France.
You know, you're going for a France win. I can see France winning comfortably as well. I think they'll do a big performance. I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go Mbappe gets a goal. I'm going to go with Stevie in that. Later on, Croatia plays Spain. This game has kind of had a wee bit of a story going into it. Obviously, Croatia have got a bit of a COVID outbreak. Perisic has been ruled out through COVID. So does this give Spain the advantage, Shankers?
I think they were favourites going into it anyway. Obviously, Perisic is one of Croatia's better players. So as I said before, talking about psychologically, when you know somebody that's it, it must give you a wee bit of a lift. But you don't want to get over complacent. I mean, Spain, I'll have probably watched the game back against Scotland, or somebody will have watched it and analysed it, and basically you just need to get somebody, sit somebody on Modric and don't let him go, and if you give him space like Scotland did, it will hurt you, because that's the type of player he is. He's that good that he almost won that game single-handedly. I mean, his goal was exquisite. I think few passing, moving, stuff like that. He moves the ball so quick, and that's because you give him time and space. If you don't give somebody like him time and space, then he'll come and get the ball, but he'll bounce it back the way. He'll not be able to turn it and thread balls through. So I think Spain are a team that's kind of going through a transitional period. So you don't know what you're going to get for them at times. I still fancy them, but I think you have to stop Modric playing, and it gives you every chance. I think England done that in the first game when they've got Phillips. Phillips is in there. He's over the top of him. He had a really good game, Calvin Phillips. And I think when they stopped Modric, they stopped Croatia. And Croatia weren't really very impressive in that first game against England, but they've still got players that can hurt you with Rebic and Kramaric or something like that. I expect him to play now if Perisic is it. So they've still got players to hurt Spain, but I fancy Spain in this one off the back of a convincing win against Slovakia.
Stevie, we look as if we're going to see one change for Spain. It looks as if Alvaro Morata is going to be we drop to the bench and Ferran Torres is going to come in. Do you get that decision after kind of Morata's kind of tournament so far?
He's been getting pelters, hasn't he, for the Spanish media and stuff. I think it's maybe a combination of his poor form and maybe the pressure for the Spanish media to change it, because if he didn't and they lost the game, that's what's going to get blamed on. Well, one of the reasons anyway. To me, I think this is an interesting game. I would, when I'm betting, I'm going nowhere near this game, because I genuinely think it could go either way. I think obviously with the COVID outbreak, that's a big miss, because he's a physical player. When the ball's overhit for the right to the back post, you fancy him to win the ball all the time. Ivan Perisic, because he's really, really physical and he's got lots of experience, so it'll be a miss. But I like Kovacic in the middle with Modric as well. I like the way they've got a good wee blend with each other. He's quite an underrated player, Kovacic. So goes under the radar a lot, especially at Chelsea.
Been good for Chelsea recently.
He's been very good for Chelsea. So I think all the furore seems to be around Mason Mount and stuff with Chelsea, and he just seems to go on with his job. But I think this will be an interesting game. I don't think it will be a straightforward win for Spain. Maybe it could be draw and then somebody to win after extra time, penalties possibly.
That's what I'm thinking. I think this could potentially go all the way, but I do think Spain just have the edge. I think that we know what Spain can do. It's just if they get that final finish. But I do think Spain will win it in extra time. What's your final prediction, Stevie?
I'll go for 1-1, and then I'm going to go Croatia in extra time. Croatia,
big call. Shankers, what are we going for?
I think Spain will win it 90 minutes.
Big call for Shankers.
I didn't realise Perisic was out that you said there. I think that's a huge miss for them.
Psychologically, it's a big miss.
It's a big miss, definitely. They lost a boy against Scotland, and Barisic had to come in, so I don't know if he'll then start the match at left back as well. It'll give them some good width and good deliveries in the box. I think Croatia miss Mandzukic.
They've that number 9,
the best striker in the world, but he was physical and was in the box. He's a big presence, but it's going to be tight. I think it could be, if it's won in 90 minutes, I think it could be 1-0 either way, but I'm going to go Spain.
Spain, we're going for, so it looks as if Spain are get the choice of us here. Stevie, we have a game on Tuesday. There's a game on Tuesday night. I don't know if you know, it's a big, massive game taking place at Wembley. England play Germany. Give us a prediction. How do you see the game going?
I'll be having Wiener Schnitzels for dinner. I'll be playing with my Wayne's toy tanks and all that kind of stuff. I think it's so hard not to like the English media and the side, the way they go on about it, and this is the best chance for years. I mean, they're playing Germany, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I pulled Germany as one of they were going to be the poor team. But I suppose they've been quite inconsistent getting through the group. But you can just, in a game like England-Germany, you could never write the Germans off. And I like the way they're getting played down. I like them getting into the game like this, because if England approach that game in any other way, other than taking them as serious as they should, then it's going to be a struggle for them. As much as do you know what? I'm going for Germany. I really am, because I'm supporting them. So I'm not going to say they're going to lose, am I? So I'm going to go.
So Stevie gives Germany a vote. We're going to preview that game tomorrow night, and we're Euro 2020 show as we look at how that game might go. We'll also review the games that we spoke about today. Stevie, thanks very much for being our guest tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on.
No worries. Cheers. Thank you.
Brilliant. Shankers, pleasure as always.
Oh, pleasure's mine, Scott.
Brilliant. Thanks very much to everyone who's tuned in. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And for more, please follow our channels and for more breaking news info. Thanks very much, everyone. Cheers.